Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to my breakdown of some news out of Anime Expo 2022. Now, while the event is still going on while I'm recording this, and while it still will be on when this video goes up, I don't anticipate there's going to be any more news just based on what the panel schedules there are, and I think this is going to be kind of a overview of sort of focusing on Blu-ray and DVD news specifically out of Anime Expo, but in general, kind of doing stuff that is related to the channel. So while I do want us to discuss what you see on screen, the Kamen Rider Kuuga Blu-ray and the Fiveman DVD, I'm actually not going to start there. This is just teasing. We're going to do that last because it has the most baggage to talk about. But in terms of just in general, there's a lot going on from Anime Expo, and so I want to go through this. Because I think it's kind of important to discuss this news, and that way everyone knows what I think of it. And specifically, I think when it comes to Blu-rays and DVDs, people do look at my channel and look at me for information about news and stuff. So I think let's try this. This should be a little bit of fun video. But yeah, like I said, we're not starting with Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, or even Tokushoutsu. Let's talk Gundam. Thanks to the Nozomi Entertainment panel, and thanks to Shumulus for live tweeting it. Gundam Build Divers Re-Rise is coming to Blu-ray soon. This is pretty exciting because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, of the normal non-SD Gundam shows, this is the last of the TV anime that hasn't had a release because it is the most recent. And I'm hopefully it'll include the Build Divers Batlog as well. I don't see why it wouldn't. The Build Divers Blu-ray came with the prologue short. So this should be pretty great. I love this show. I thought Re-Rise was honestly the best build series. It's one that resonated with me a lot, and I really loved all its characters and its storytelling. So I'm really looking forward to getting it on Blu-ray finally. It's something I know a lot of us have been waiting for, and Right Stuff and Nozomi's delivering that, which is fantastic. Also, this was a shock. They showed this frame, or they showed a clip. And yes, Nozomi is releasing the 2013 4-panel comedy short adaptation anime Gundam-san. I don't know if they said DVD or Blu-ray. I'm assuming DVD because I don't think it got a Blu-ray in Japan. But they could do an SD Blu-ray. Nozomi's done that before. But Gundam-san is a weird little show. I've watched it all. You can watch it all in one sitting, pretty much, because they're really short episodes. I never expected this to get licensed. I honestly never expected Gundam-san to get an official release. And my thought was, right when I saw this news break, because I was following this thread, I was just refreshing. I was like, oh, what'd they announce next? When they announced Gundam-san, I said to myself, all right, if we can get Gundam-san, we can get anything. Right? Like, with some minor exceptions, like we couldn't get the Stray shorts, we could get anything. And in that terms, here's our SD Gundam, finally. So, SD Gundam Sangoku Brave Battle Warriors was officially announced. This was recently released on Blu-ray in Japan in a big box set with the original SD Gundam theatrical shorts as well as SD Gundam Force. So, seeing SD Gundam Brave Battle Warriors on the table, this is the sort of easier one to do because it did have subs on Gundam Info's YouTube channel. It does have an English dub. This may be the quote-unquote less work to do, which is why it would be out first. But yeah, no, we're getting SD Gundam Sangoku Brave Battle Warriors, which is exciting because that means that Nozomi's not blocked from SD. There was a guess. It was like, were they waiting to do SD when they finished up all the regular Gundam stuff, or were they for some reason not allowed to? Seems like they're allowed to, so that is really exciting news. And yeah, I'm glad to see Gundam is continuing its releases. We can be kind of stuck in the cycle of Seed lately. It's just been like, because the Seed project was so huge, we've pretty much gotten almost nothing outside of the Seed project. Oh, in the world of anime that is related, I did want to bring this up because I saw people talking about it. Studio Trigger had their 10th anniversary panel. They did mention Gridman cross Dynazenon, which I didn't see people talking about because it was just this little tweet I found from someone who had a whole thread, like they were live tweeting the panel. It said, showing a video message about the Gridman Dynazenon movie from director Akira Amamiya. He's wearing a black leather jacket and says he plans to win an Academy Award for this movie. Living his best life. Yeah, director sounds super excited. That movie's coming next year, so I'm sure we'll start to hear more news about it soon. But yeah, Gridman cross Dynazenon. That's happening. Speaking of Tsuburaya, let's talk about Macross, because I don't know Macross that well. It's a franchise that a lot of people in the West know as Robotech, because that was its adaptation. They did the Voltron thing of combining a bunch of shows and dubbing it. Harmony Gold, who has owned the rights to Robotech, have been absolute tyrants and not letting anything Macross related actually release for the longest time. But hell did freeze over, and Harmony Gold struck a deal to permit the release of Macross. And in response, Big West, Studio Nue, they, 18 months later now, they have essentially officially licensed and localized almost the entire franchise. So at Anime Expo, they had a big panel for Macross, and they basically announced that they're pretty much, let's see, the announcement covers 4 Macross series, 1982's Macross 2 Lovers Again, 1984's Macross Plus, 2008's Macross Frontier, and 2016's Macross Delta. So now that the licensing is there, this is what's amazing, is that they're like, we're going to get this out while we can, because, again, Harmony Gold have been tyrants about Macross releases, because they want Robotech to be the only thing. They're really old-school American company. It's like, look, we made our version of it, and it's our version that'll exist. Don't like that stuff. But this is the interesting part, is that it's not just under one company. So Anime Limited will release Macross Plus, Animigo will release Macross 2, and Nozomi will handle the release of Macross Frontier and Macross Delta. The next day at Nozomi's panel, they also announced that they're going to be releasing Macross 7. So that's 3 shows under Nozomi / Right Stuff, 1 under Animigo, and 1 under Anime Limited. Now, while they didn't go under one company, it's probably because if you have 3 different companies working on 5 different shows, that's going to come out a lot faster, and before Harmony Gold changes their mind, or however long that deal exists. So from what I understand, there is also more stuff coming. There's more stuff to do for Macross, but this is a great start. But I'm really excited for all those who love Macross and finally get like an official release. It's been great for Gundam. It's been great for Ultraman. Getting most of the franchise like that, it's fantastic feeling. So even if it is split across a few companies, hopefully they're easily available. Ultraman was kind of nuts. Without really having that many announcements, Ultraman's presence at Anime Expo was resonant. In terms of when we talk about, like, what's the actual news, Ultraman dominated. I just want to say that I'm really impressed with Tsuburaya and Jeff Gomez's company and Ultraman Connection and all that, because they really brought it. Opening ceremony of Anime Expo, Ultraman was on stage. Anime Ultraman was also on stage. Ultraman drop-kicked Bemular, and it became a meme over the weekend. Like, it legitimately became a meme. A bunch of people never even knew what Ultraman was until this opening ceremony, because this wasn't a specific Ultraman panel. This was the opening ceremony for the convention. Dada, Alien Baltan, and Shawn Nichols were there, and they were running a contest where you run around looking for Dada. Shawn Nichols being actor who was in Ultraman Max, who's been running all the Ultraman Connection live stream events, which have been really cool. They've been kind of like gathering all the Ultraman fans together. So yeah, what's really cool too, let me add to this, Ultraman Connection as a website, for those that may not be aware, they do streaming events. They have videos on there, like you can watch Avenger fight and Ultra Galaxy fight stuff, and you can rent certain movies and videos. There's a merch store. But more specifically, they have this news section. So while, for other panels, I'm looking at tweets, I'm looking at secondhand reporting, Ultraman Connection, I can just go to their site and go, oh, hey, here's the official photography of what happened on stage and a recap of everything that happened. Really fantastic. Wish this existed for more things. Looking at you, Gundam Info, you used to be like that, but you have slipped so badly. But Ultraman Connection, so anyways, we got some really cool stuff. I love this photo at the end where Ultraman's just like, look at me, here I am. I have finally entered Western pop culture. Now, this wasn't the only thing for Ultraman, because over at the Bandai Namco panel, the recently announced Ultra Kaiju Monster Farm game is coming to the West as Ultra Kaiju Monster Rancher. So, Monster Farm / Monster Rancher is a video game series that had an anime adaptation in the late 90s, early 2000s. And this game is essentially what if you had Monster Rancher formatting, but it's got Ultra Kaiju instead. You can fuse Kaiju, there's 200 characters, you can raise your monsters, battle them. There's a little video here, you can find it on Hero Club, hero-club.com. But with this thing, it's kind of interesting is that it actually has an NFC scanner because it's a Nintendo Switch exclusive, which means if you have Ultraman Zets Ultra Metals or Orbs fusion cards, which have NFC chips in them, you can use them to summon monsters, which is amazing. And then also on top of that, it is getting a full English release. It will be available physically in Southeast Asia in English. It will be digital only in North America. So if you're looking for it, it's definitely going to be more available, and I'm glad to see that it's coming. And I'm really excited to see when this game comes out because I'm very excited to play this. I was just saying on a stream recently, I wish I had an Ultraman game to play. Here we are, still like an Ultraman Fighting Evolution revision. But yeah, no, that was the big announcement of the Bandai Namco panel. It really was, because this was announced at the Japanese Nintendo Direct, and I was like, why can't we get it? And then, duh, Anime Expo. So basically, after that, there also was this weird announcement that I didn't see people talking about. So they've made a compilation film of the first season of the Ultraman Netflix anime, the one that's based on the manga, and it's going to get limited screenings through Iconic Events, not Fathom Events, which is nice. It says that it will see, so, you know, I thought this was just for Anime Expo, but apparently it says we'll see a limited release in movie theaters across North America. And there wasn't any more details about dates or anything, but I thought it was kind of cool that we are getting a compilation film released limited in theaters, not just straight to Netflix. And I still ask, where's Shin Ultraman? Looking at you, Toho, because Toho released it. Subaru produced it, but Toho did distribute it. I think Shin Ultraman, I hope we hear news on Ultraman Day. That's July 10th. That's coming soon. But really want to know when the rest of us get to see Shin Ultraman. The big Ultraman panel had the news that Marvel Comics and Ultraman are crossing over. So for those unaware, Marvel Comics has been producing Ultraman comics recently with the Rise of Ultraman and the Trials of Ultraman and the upcoming Mystery of Ultra 7. Well, now there is a crossover which is going to feature Ultraman, Ultra 7, Ultraman Taro, teaming up with Iron Man, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man, and they're fighting Bemular. That's all we know. They basically put out a little thing that, yes, this will be canon to the Marvel Universe. Yes, this is a full-on crossover. This isn't just a series of variant covers. Ultraman is crossing over with the Avengers, and that's a really big deal culturally, because Ultraman is a very popular franchise in Japan that has roots in North America from, you know, the kaiju side of things and releases and early dubs. But they're teaming up with the Avengers, which is like literally the biggest franchise in the world. And that is amazing, and I'm really excited to see that. I was kind of hoping something like this would happen, since Marvel has been publishing Ultraman comics. But this is just incredible. This just blows things out of the water. But the absolute biggest thing was the Ultraman Rising panel. So, first of all, I mean, this is just cool to see these pictures. So you got Shawn Nichols, Ultraman Taro. Ultraman came out, and he fought Bemular as well as Gomora. I saw a brief, like, cell phone video of this, but they will be streaming on Ultraman Day. I think it's at 8 p.m. Eastern. They will be having a live stream on Ultraman Connection where you can watch highlights from it, and I think that's where we'll get to see video of this. They brought out the people working on the Netflix Ultraman movie, which is coming later. It's being produced by Industrial Light and Magic. ILM's working on it. Really cool stuff. Apparently they showed some screen caps. We haven't seen anything more of that. That movie's forthcoming to Netflix. They brought out the comic book writers and I think one of the artists to announce the Avengers crossover. Fantastic stuff. Then Ultra 7 fought Metron, which is, I mean, the fact that Ultra 7 even has a slugger removable, that's pretty cool. And then there's this famous image of Ultra 7 just clotheslining Ella King. I mean, I really want to see the video of all this. This is fantastic. They had the production IG team for the anime to debut the Taro suit, which hadn't been seen before. This was a world debut. And I tell you, that Netflix anime, love it or hate it, it did bring a lot of attention to Ultraman because it was incredibly popular when Season 1 launched. I don't know how well Season 2 did, but it was apparently like the most watched Netflix original anime or something like that. They had the singer of the theme song for Season 2, and then they had a stage show where Ultra 7 and Ultraman and Ace showed up. So they had all the 4 suits that currently exist. There's no Jack and Zophi yet, but look at that. That is fantastic. I can't wait to see more from this. including more. This was news I broke on Twitter that I'm just going to bring up here. Ultraman Neos is coming to DVD, according to this Amazon listing, which usually when something's got a listing in Amazon that's from Amazon, it's real. So Ultraman Neos is coming out on DVD September 20th. It's going to be a 2-disc set. Neos was only 12 episodes and was direct-to-video, so that's perfect. And then Ultraman Cosmos, which I discussed in my Maybe's video, being a little worried about, is coming out on DVD, 8 discs. I said it had to be, it couldn't be 6. It's 8. It's 65 episodes, listed as 3 specials, so I don't know if we're getting the alternate cut of Cosmos 2. But that is also coming out September 20th. This is important news for very specific reasons. Going from that, Ultraman was having this huge extravaganza with stage shows and everything, announcing Marvel Comics crossovers, showing footage from the next anime season, talking about their Netflix movie. At the same exact time, because it double booked, because the main stage was Ultraman, one of the side stages was Kamen Rider. Here's the Kamen Rider panel. Not to say it's disappointing, but compared to Ultraman, there was a whole lot less to talk about here. First of all, Team Rider put together a little combination here. So Team Rider announced that we are getting Kamen Rider Black Sun. That is officially confirmed. I believe they said October 28th. I was seeing that in some tweets. I'm saying, I think they said because I read tweets, not that I was there. But Kamen Rider Black Sun, we already kind of knew that because the official website for Black Sun said it was streaming in 200 regions and territories, which is exactly how many territories Amazon Prime Video is in. That should be getting a very far reach. And they did confirm simulcast, which I think wasn't quite confirmed by the website. We are getting Kamen Rider Black Sun, and they did mention Shin Kamen Rider, so hopefully we actually do see something with that. That would be nice to get a theatrical run or a first-run streaming deal somewhere. Just get that movie without having to wait 3 or 4 years for it. They also brought up the Stonebot and Titan comics. So we had the Kamen Rider Kuuga manga is getting translated and released. The 01 comic is coming out. The writer's pretty good. I liked some of his comics work before. He just did a Mr. Miracle miniseries. It was great. Team Kamen Rider also announced these Kamen Rider Futo PI Q-Pop socket figures. And then the big news, which was the Blu-ray. Going back to this real quick. So they debuted the first 2 episodes of Kamen Rider Double Futo PI, which is the anime adaptation of the manga sequel of Kamen Rider Double. I and many others thought it would be a smart idea if Toei, Shout Factory, Tokushoutsu would have double streaming prior to the anime debuting. We heard nothing about it. I doubt we're getting it before the anime. This is probably going to be a perception issue because anime fans are not Toku fans, and anime fans are going to get introduced to the anime version and may see the Toku version as not the same. Especially because there was a new promotional video put out for Double Futo PI that was released a few days ago in Japan, now out in English, which the anime is doing what the manga did. It's got violence, it's got sensuality, it's more adult. And when you roll back to Show Made for Kids in 2009, that's not going to grab people. Now, if they were already introduced to Double and they had an option of watching it, and it was promoted as, the anime was promoted as a sequel, because that's what it is if it's adapting the manga correctly, which it seems to be, and from what I heard from people that watched the first 2 episodes at the panel, that's what it is. I'm a little concerned because we've already gone through this with Garo. With Garo featured this problem of people saw the live-action version as cheesy, even though, and that was because the anime was hyped up on the violence, hyped up on the sexuality. People saw the live-action version as weaker, even though Garo has still got some intense stuff to it. And it happened with Gridman as well, where people saw the anime and didn't really get into the live action. I think you have to kind of, like, the animes can be a good thing to grab people in, and I think Ultraman's done a good job of that because the Ultraman anime isn't super, like, gritty, and neither was SSSS Gridman. But in terms of trying to get the anime crowd into the tokusatsu sphere, you got to be careful about it. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with Double, and if there's going to be a huge demand from the anime fans for the Double Toku, but we'll see how the anime progresses. I'll leave a link to the promotional video. Be warned, it starts with severed limbs and blood, so if that's not your thing, don't check it out. I've read some of the manga. I think I've read a couple volumes worth. It's got It's got blood, it's got nudity, it's definitely not a toku format. It's not your, you know, we gotta fight the monster of the week. It is an actual detective story, and it gets pretty grisly. So we'll see how the anime turns out. The anime may tone some of that back, but it may be not good. Yeah, it's gonna be weird. So this leaked prior to the panel at Shout Factory's booth. Kamen Rider Kuuga is coming to Blu-ray. It is sad that this was Shout's only Kamen Rider announcement, because I really think they should have had another show announced for streaming, or at least double. At least double. All right, let's talk about it. We're going to talk about Kuuga first, and then we'll talk about Fiveman. All right. So, Shout accidentally early released this, but we are getting Kamen Rider Kuuga on Blu-ray. This is going to be the physical release of the streaming version. So when it came to the show streaming, they had some video problems that they did fix later after the fandom called them out on it. And so hopefully this is all the fixed versions. They did say the original masters, and I don't know why they said that. That's not the right terminology. These should be the home video Blu-ray masters from 2016, which is what we saw on Tokushoutsu stream. We are getting 49 episodes, so no New Year's special, no episode 50 bonus short, no Hyper Battle video. Just the show. It will have, this is cool, it will have optional Grongi subtitles, which they tweeted out. They're very proud of this. Because, you know, I think when it comes to Kuuga, for those that aren't aware, the Grongi are these mysterious villains. They speak their own language. The language is a cipher for Japanese. You can translate it to English, and there was guides available at the time of airing to do so. When it debuted on streaming, it was only with Grongi subs turned on, because that was the way that streaming is. They would have to hard sub it. And because of the way Tubi is, they don't have subtitle options. So it was hard subbed, and they had to upload one version. Now, people have said, and this is a big debate going back and forth, oh, the Grongi subs spoil what their plans are. Oh, you know, you should watch it without Grongi subs the first time, with Grongi subs the second time. I've become neither here or there. I was really opinionated on it back when it first started. Up to personal preference, and I want the option to have them on or off, and we have that option. What's also interesting is they posted this screen presumably from the menu, which, first of all, it looks a hell of a lot nicer than the menus for 01, which were essentially, as I just bumped the camera, the menus for 01 were essentially just, like, picture and then a list. This has got an actual play all episode subtitles. Like, it's got sub-menus. Now, the interesting part here is that 01 was hard-coded subs. This is obviously soft subs for Grongi with or without, but there is an off option, which is nice. It's nice to see that. And maybe because this is an older show, Toei's not worried so much about people importing it to Japan for cheaper. Now, when talking about the set, they did say that Shout Factory says they underestimate the demand for physical media, and 01 sales prove them wrong. I don't know how much of that statement is Shout and how much of that statement is Toei, because I think Shout should have been seeing all the demand that we've been putting out on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever. I think it's been very clear. The writer fandom has made it very clear how much we want physical media. But that's what it is. And essentially, it does sound like if Kuuga sells well, we'll get another one. So we are just going one at a time. Mill Creek has been able to release so much Ultraman because Subaru had a bunch of pre-existing subtitles, and they gave them a franchise deal. They partnered with them. They're like, here, you get the access to the whole library. Toei's still going one by one with Shout. That being said, you can now pre-order Kamen Rider Kuuga, the complete series, on Shout Factory. As of right now, you can still get an exclusive poster. The poster is actually not the same cover art. That cover art is like a picture of Kuuga on his bike with some like fading to it. The cover art is the one you see on Tubi, which has like Kuga's head. But yeah, if you look, yeah, there's the poster there. So its list price is $59.98. Its sell price on Shout is $51.98, which I think was the same at what 01 was. If you want the poster, this is where you should go. It does ship free because of that. And that may be why they have the price a little higher. But yeah, if you want the poster, you can get it from Shout. Go for it. If not, it will be available from other retailers later, presumably on the same day. But yeah, checking the episode list, it doesn't mention anything about the 46.5, which was the New Year's special or anything. So it's cool to see. I'm glad to see Kuuga's releasing. It's kind of a shame that I don't think we're going to get any more Kamen Rider shows this year. I mean, we're getting Futo PI and we're getting Black Sun. But in terms of the main like catalog releases for Rider, I think this is it. Because I feel like if they were going to announce another show for streaming, they would have done it now. But yeah, I got my copy pre-ordered. I will be reviewing it. Don't worry, it's scheduled to release isn't it September 20th? I think it's September 20th. Where's it? Yeah. So it's releasing September 20th, the same day as Neos and Cosmos. That is going to be a busy week for me. I will probably review Kuuga first because that'll have a lot more questions to it. And then I will probably do a video on Neos and Cosmos later because if they're like Babius, we'll be good to go. All right, let's talk about the other news. This is the big news. This is the one I want to talk the most about. I know we're just finally getting to it at the end of the video here. Chikyu Sentai Fiveman. Okay, so here's the deal. Chikyu Sentai Fiveman was rumored to be released after Ninpu Sentai Hurricaneer back in 2019. I did a whole video about the Sentai DVD history. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I'm not really going to cover it again. The big thing here is that we are getting another Sentai show on DVD. Ironically, like a month and a half or a month or so after I made that video saying I don't think we're going to get any more releases. And in fact, this did blindside me. The poster did appear at their Anime Expo booth prior to the announcement. And now that we have the announcement, yeah, essentially there's pretty much the same thing we'd normally expect from one of these Sentai DVDs. Official description: before Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it was Super Sentai. See where the world phenomenon began with the original Japanese series inspired Power Rangers. There's a description of Fiveman. Fiveman's a bit of a nutty show. The fandom has never been this excited about Fiveman. It's incredible marketing for waiting 3 years since it was sort of teased that we would be getting it. Now, the sad part here is that Chikyu Sentai Fiveman will not be streaming on Tokushoutsu. They said this in a tweet, and the funny part is that I couldn't find, they wouldn't clarify. People were like, it's not streaming at first, it's not streaming ever, it's not streaming is the news we got. So if it does stream, it's going to be a while. The other thing that I thought was interesting, we'll go straight to the Shout page for this, is it does say on there in big bold text, introducing Shout debut. Order this title exclusively through shoutfactory.com months before you can buy it anywhere else. Months. So this is currently slated for September 6th. I'm assuming my pre-order is going to come in September 6th. Yes, I did pre-order it. Yes, videos. It's how the channel keeps running. So September 6th is when this is coming out. Presumably, that is going to be months before it's available at retail, so maybe this isn't coming till 2023. In fact, the poster at their booth said a copyright date of 2022 to 2023. It's probably why. It is priced at $59.98. Same price as Kuuga, even though it's only a DVD, and it's not as good of a show. I love Fiveman. I love Fiveman deeply. I'm excited about this, but not many people love Fiveman compared to Kuuga. Anyways, point is, $60, but it's discounted down to $47.98, so you can't get free shipping. I noticed a lot of people are like, oh, I pre-ordered Kuuga because I couldn't get free shipping on Fiveman. Might have been part of the plan. But you can only buy this through Shout for now, which I think is interesting. And, just like always, there's nothing extra for Fiveman to come with, but it is 48 episodes on DVD. We'll see how the sub quality is. This could have been something they were sitting on and just never released. And it could be the old subtitle quality. We'll see what happens. But you can only get it you only get Fiveman through Shout. Presumably, it says months before you can buy it anywhere else. Presumably, it's coming out elsewhere. But for now, it seems like no streaming, Shout only. They're pushing all the sales to Shout. They're trying to convince one of two or both companies, that being Toei and E1. So while I sort of dismissed the idea that Hasbro was entirely to blame for the Sentai DVDs, again, I said in the opening of the video, I think they still could be part of it, but let's focus on the Toei side. The last things here, so Toku Nation, a longtime news site in the fandom, posted an article where they misspelled Sentai, and they haven't fixed it. But the point is that they had a little bit more detail because they have contacts at Shout. So Shout Factory, Melissa Bogue, EVP, Kids and Family Entertainment, Shout Factory, because it's still under Kids and Family. They reached out to them asking about future releases, and they said, we currently have 12 Super Sentai titles in release, and Fiveman will be the 13th. Our hope is that we can continue to release more. So as always, as we've heard multiple times, over and over again, if it sells, we'll do more. And I think that, that's a general thing with Toei. We heard it with Kuuga, we heard it with Fiveman, at the panel from all these quotes I got from different tweets. Toei really wants to do one show at a time, and if it sells, we'll do another. If he sells, you do another. If you sell, you do another. Toei, if you're somehow listening, there is demand for these franchises, but if we have to keep waiting months and months and months between releases, it loses momentum with a casual audience. If you actually want these things to succeed, give Shout deals to your full libraries and just let them schedule it themselves. That's what Mill Creek's done with that's what Ultraman Super Ride did with Ultraman and Mill Creek. It works. Okay, now this is the interesting part. So the actual press release does mention Shout Factory in collaboration with E1. So while I said Hasbro couldn't be the only reason, Toei is very stingent, and I mean very stingent. You can ask anybody that's ever worked on anything licensed by Toei, they are a nightmare. They do not want to work with you. They just want you to buy their license and do your own thing. But when it comes down to it, the fact it does say, in collaboration with E1, even though this press release does have a typo and says 7-disc DVD collection when it's 8, it says, in collaboration with E1, says that E1, which is Hasbro's entertainment branch that they purchased and now have everything under, is involved. Now, I was shared a link by one of my followers on Twitter. Let me pull up his name real quick because I did take my good notes. So, on Twitter, I got a DM from Tyler Bozetsky. He sent me this old Henshin Grid article. Henshin Grid's been around a while. From 2012 that several people had posted this, but essentially Ranger Crew had posted the original contract for Super Sentai and Power Rangers with the Toei Saban contract. That's what I meant to say. Here is essentially like the legal text, and the basis of this is that essentially Power Rangers, Super Sentai will always be legally linked, and at the end of the day, while we can, say that, Power Rangers doesn't need Sentai, Sentai doesn't need Power Rangers, they don't, but legally they are linked. And there is a specific thing about here that there's a lot of legal stuff, and if you ever wanted to dig into it, I'm going to leave a link to this because I found this to be very informative. I don't want to break it all down here because I would be paraphrasing, but essentially, even though Shout and Toei seem to be working on this directly, they still have to go, hey, E1, is this okay for us to do? While not necessarily having E1 and Hasbro involved. Their copyrights aren't on the posters or anything. They may be on the back of the case, which is a simple logo because of the use of the name Power Rangers. But when it comes down to it, we are getting another Sentai DVD. We'll see how the quality works when it comes out. If you are one of those people who has been saying, we need Sentai DVDs, we need Sentai DVDs, these need to come back, why don't we have these? Go pre-order this now. Like, if you're financially able, go buy it now. Because if you want more Sentai DVDs, it sounds like the only way to do it is to buy it off Shout's site. So, if you're really gung-ho about it, you really want to support it, there it is. I pre-ordered a copy. I will be reviewing it. Same with Kuuga. We'll see where this goes. And yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up. I know this is a bit long. There's a lot of news out of Anime Expo. At the end of the day, when it comes to the Hasbro, Shout, Toei thing, we don't really know all the details. But it does seem to me, from reading through the contract, it sounds like Shout and Toei are talking about Sentai. But they have to go talk to E1 as well. And part of the reason why a bunch of stuff may have been held up is because E1 had to get their stuff together after the purchase. Now, will this mean that we get Power Rangers on disc again? Who knows? We'll see what happens. But it does seem like Shout and Toei have a couple deals going on with Rider and with Sentai. They're just incredibly limited and incredibly piecemeal, and that's a bummer. But on that note, that does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, hit subscribe, notification bell. There will be other videos coming this week, non-news videos, toy stuff. There will be future videos. Of course, I pre-ordered Sentai and Rider stuff. There will be more. We're definitely doing things. I also pre-ordered Neos and Cosmos. At this point, I'm just going to order stuff and review it. I want to tell everyone how they are. And yeah, that's about it. Leave a comment down below. Tell me anything. Ask me questions. Whatever you'd like. Hit subscribe notification bell. I said it already. Check out HeroClub@hero-club.com. Look at our little site here. We're trying. We're certainly trying. We don't have enough staff to keep it going. And then also be sure to check out my graphic designer on Twitter at darkclaw643. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.